Okay, we are up and working. Captions are working. I said captions, not options. And I have my white chocolate cold brew right next to me. Hey, Outrageous Olive. How goes the time zone? Fantasine, good to see you. How's it going for you? I must admit, it's very strange to start my stream and not have music playing. Oh no! What panel were you thinking about at 6:30? Yeah, that's a hard decision. Sleep? Sleep, no sleep. Doo, doo, doo. Ah, retellings. Okay, yeah. I wonder if Sunny's going to that one too. Nice, you'll game until then. Yeah, poor Hubs. Also, yes, that was my laughter on somebody else's stream. I bought myself 4 coffees. I'm now on my 3rd coffee out of my 4. How are you doing, Mr. Big T? That sounds funny. So far I have confused somebody's husband. I have spooked somebody's boyfriend. I give out a lot of emotions. Nice, I hope that helps. Instacart instead of the grocery store. I mean, if it's this early in the morning, the grocery store may be empty of people. Okay, so it's been about 5 minutes, and we're going to start the Writing Webfiction Successfully panel. Yeah, I love going to empty grocery stores. So, when it comes to web fiction, most of us already know fiction, but if I say web fiction, what do you think I'm talking about? What is web fiction to you? Okay, Outrageous Olive says webtoons. Is webtoons a place, or is webtoons meaning something different? Mr. Big T says something like game text or short story. Okay. Ah, thank you. So Webtoons is an app that hosts webcomics. Got you. So webcomics are what you see as web fiction. That's a good point. It doesn't have to be writing only. Anything else? Web fiction may be short fiction that lets people see samples of writing before buying a novel length from someone. That's interesting. So, like the first chapter in a book would be web fiction. I'd say Kindle Vella, but it doesn't exist anymore. What? When did it stop existing? Reddit creepypastas. Yeah, that would be... Reddit creepypastas would be web fiction at the moment. I haven't heard anything about Vella going away. No. But okay, so Kindle Vella at any rate, which is reading chapters of a story bit by bit until the story is finished. Okay. These are all really good definitions of web fiction. Where do you think web fiction started from? I like your answer, KM Scribes. Blogs in the early days. That's definitely fiction. Web fiction. Outrageous Olive says the ye old days of people writing fanfic or role-playing. That's an interesting point. Role-playing in chat rooms. How about if I change the name? What if, instead of saying web fiction, I say serial fiction? 06. Hey, I'm from the ye old days. You have a message. You have mail. But if I change it, I take out the web, it's no longer web fiction, I say it's serialized fiction. Ah, there we go. Yes. Outrageous Olive says, oh, the newspapers for serial fiction. Yep. We had serial fiction in the newspapers. Sometimes it was a collection of shorts, and sometimes it was a full-length novel cut into shorts. Sherlock Holmes, that sort of stuff. Yes, I knew somebody was going to mention it. The old pulps from the 1920s, like Weird Tales. That is exactly where web fiction started getting a name. Now I'm going to take a little bit, I know my captions are covering over some of these covers, but I'm going to give you 10 seconds, 15 seconds to look at the covers. So I picked a couple of different ones. I don't know if anyone remembers Doc Savage. What do you see when you look at these? What do you think when you look at these? So Outrageous Olive says thrilling adventure or just heart-racing moments. Nathalia says, I think I'm a bit too young to remember any of them. Fair enough. So Pulp Fiction was really, really popular the late 1850s. So to be honest, none of us here probably remember when these first came out. I said 1850s, yes. Because they were also called, these are the Penny Dreadfuls, the Penny Awful, and the Penny Blood as well. And then we had the Pulp Fiction. The pulp comes, dime novels, yep, dime novels. The term Pulp Fiction comes from the type of paper. Yep, the lack of quality, as Mooncloud pointed out, of the paper that all of these stories were printed on. Do you know how often the Pulp Fictions and the Penny Dreadfuls and the Penny Bloods were printed? How frequently? I got lucky. I found an entire cache of Doc Savage at an old antique store, and she wanted to get rid of a lot of the books. They're amazing. I love them. Yes, weekly. So each of these stories, the part was published weekly. And each weekly part was 8 to 16 pages. That is a lot of story to work into 8 to 16 pages. You have to make sure that you get everything. Kind of like how shonen, Japan's young men fiction, works. Exactly. And I am actually going to put into the chat, I'm trying to find the best place to do it. So, Lester Dent was an amazing writer of Pulp Fiction. Why? He had a formula. Most of them were weekly. Sometimes they would do bi-weekly and trade off. Like, week A would be a part of one story, week B would be a part of a different story. And that was more to get more readers. But I'm going to put in here, yeah, Shonen Jump is definitely weekly. And then you get Shonen Jump, different name, Shonen Jump Ultimate, all that. So Lester Dent had a formula. And I like how it's like, nothing of mine not written to formula has failed to sell. The first 1,500 words, the second 1,500 words, the third 1,500 words, the fourth 1,500 words, and that's your 8 to 16 pages. That's your adventurer, your heroine. And this, if you look at it, this was your genre fiction. There's a reason some of these were called the Penny Bloods and the Penny Dreadfuls. They were popular culture, quote, for the young, and supposedly cheap, sensational fiction. And, yeah, this is where you got your horror, your westerns, your occult, your sci-fi, your romance. This is sometimes actually where you got your LGBTQ plus ones. I'm going to go back and look at Odd Girl Out. this is where you get some of those. It said a confession of love, however shocking, as innocent as spring fire. Yeah, they were not considered the height of literary scene at the time. Nope. But, I mean, if you write genre fiction today, you kind of get a similar sense of, oh, you read genre fiction? It's fine. We're fine. No worries. So, what are some of the things that the authors of pulp and web fiction, we're gonna go back to the web fiction, I promise. What are some things the authors have to think about? What is topmost on people's minds? And goodbye, my beautiful covers. It was so much fun picking the best ones for this. Oh, there was something, I had a note that this was seen as like how video games are seen nowadays. But what sort of audience they're writing for? Good. If you write a serial, you have to think about your newspaper. If you're writing a pulp fiction, you have to think about your publisher. If you're writing genre, you have to think about your publisher as well. And web fiction will move into that. Anything else? I'm going to put genre up there. Ooh, formatting. And the all over length, exactly. I'm going to show you some actual facts on that last one later. Or the length, maybe not the formatting. What else? Topics to include or avoid, very true. Or at least tag with content warnings if you're going to do that as well. How about payment? Deadlines. Yep, quickness of being written. I bet you people are always thinking about payment. Or maybe they're thinking non-payment. How to make a weekly story to draw readers back to the story. How much is too much to give away for free or tester? Thank you, Mooncloud, for leaving a bit for others to jump in. Fees. No worries, Fantasy. And I know this is taking place pretty early on for a lot of people. Copyright. Yep, you definitely have to think about copyright. Hosting. Yep. Who's going to host it? I'm going to throw in book covers. And again, I'll explain a little bit more detail on that later. I'm dividing today's panel into two parts. We're going to talk about it first, and then I'm going to show you some of my own web fiction, and I'm going to show you numbers. because I'm horrible at math and I'm not going to talk numbers. I'm just going to show you. Publishing rights, as mentioned by Mooncloud, the copyright. Consistency, I would put Itashi's deadlines. And a little bit of what Fantasine said, how to make it weekly to draw readers back. That's going to come with consistency as well. Okay. So, genre, would it surprise you if I say some places are better than others for different genres? Is that a surprising fact? Maybe website A is better for romance, website B is better for westerns. Would it surprise you that maybe one website is better for one genre and another website is better for another genre? Yeah, not at all. It's easier to market when you go to one place and you are pretty sure what you're going to find. For people in the United States, there used to be B. Dalton, Walden Books, Borders, Barnes & Noble. And even between what was a bookstore, you could still find a little bit of discrepancy. In Tokyo, there's Kinokuniya, but there's also other places to buy books, which, and here's the funny thing, I don't remember their names because they have horrible selections. So, payment or non-payment? Do you think people are paid for web fiction? Or do you think people do web fiction as kind of volunteer? No payment. And yeah, writing something to H.P. Lovecraft and then putting it with puppy dog detectives would not do well. Mooncloud says, depend on the site. Zurich says, Kinokuniya is the best. Yes, I agree with you. Game Chris mostly volunteer with some trying to make money off of it. Outrageous Olive is going into numbers. I salute you. 70-30 mix. I'd say most people are doing it for free. And Zurich says, most webfic they've seen are available for free. Maybe the income comes through ads. Definitely. Keep that in mind. I actually agree with you, Outrageous Olive. It's looking to be a 70-30 mix. And Mooncloud says, I've been paid in free copies of the collection I was printed in. It's, I think, still very heavily on the free side from what I've seen. However, it's starting to move to more payment. It's starting to even out a little bit more. Fees. Do you think you should be paying your host to have your work? My question was, do you think you should be paying a fee to upload your web fiction? Camscribe says, no. I'm not paying to get a story published or hosted. No, I agree with you on that. Zerx says, there's free hosting options out there. Fantasy. If I was asked to pay, I'd be going somewhere else. And that's a point I was going to bring up. KM Scribes brought it up for me. You might be hosting your own website or your own server. And if you think about it, that means you are paying a fee to upload your own web fiction. Ooh, I will have to look at the VOD for the Vanity Press issues Lady Wrights was bringing up earlier. That sounds interesting. Book covers. Do you think a web fiction needs a book cover? Itachi says sure. Outrageous Olive, 100%. KM Scribes, yeah, covers, and here's the key point. Covers still get eyes to your work. Zurich says it would be a plus. Not needed, but it's a plus. And catchy for social media. That's a good point, too. Mooncloud says anything should have a cover. It's the first thing that will draw the eye. Okay. I'm going to not really ask you guys the questions on publishing rights, but I'm going to just remind folks that a lot of traditional publishers say, we don't want anything that's been published online. And when they say published online, they mean blog, a couple of the websites we're going to go to, even Twitter. If you have published something and it is free for people to read, yep, a lot of the traditional publishers are like, well, that was first publishing right. Thanks, but no thanks. We are not interested in your story. Something to think about. And the last part is consistency. I honestly think once a week, would be great for me to read something. I talked to Ginger about this, though, and Ginger's like, nah. Once daily. And Ginger is just like, he wants it once every day, and I'm be happy to get once a week. Fantasine says, one of the things that makes me uneasy about work shown on Twitch. I don't know about other people when they write on Twitch. For me, that is my rough draft. I change things so much, it's not even close to the original. So I don't worry about my own work. That is also why I don't do my editing on Twitch either. Alternatively, be warm? Oh, so publishers asked for it and were kicked to the curb. And Zurich says, honestly, Coffee, I can't follow you if you type live on Twitch, and that's fair enough too. I run my Twitch streams as all of us working together, not really you guys get to watch me write. Thank you. Worm is a legendary web fiction. Gotcha. There is a Twitch writer who, Pirate Erba, I believe they are the author of The Wandering Inn, if my memory serves me correct, which was a huge web fiction on Royal Road that he took off Royal Road and went private with Patreon, I believe. But, as someone said earlier, I think it was Zurix, if you get a huge following that is willing to pay you, you're good. Most people do not get a huge following like that on their web fiction. So, okay. Oh, now we're going to go through bit by bit. Thank you. So helpful. Oh, Itachi says they were rather happy for that. You liked them better on Patreon than Royal Road? Lore of Olympus is super popular. It took the creator a ton of time to come out with the deal with Netflix. Oh, okay. Itachi was happy for the Lore of Olympics information. That is awesome, and all the kudos to that creator. So now we're gonna go. We've talked to things to think about, and this is by no means a full list, but we're gonna talk about places to post, host, and upload your fiction to the internet. Because unlike the days of serials, we really don't go to the newspaper anymore to sell our short stories. Once again, I notice my captions are in the way, so I'm going to let you look over the full picture, and then I'll go back to having the captions. No! Go back! So the bottom ones are Radish, and Tapas, and Web Novel. Then up at the top we have Scribble Hub, Webfiction Guide even, Kindovella, Wattpad, Royal Road, and I looked up the pronunciation earlier. The character off to the right-hand side is Wuja fiction writing. This is only a little bit. Notice this does not have webtoons. That was mentioned earlier in chat. This actually does not have Patreon, which that was a good idea I should have put in here. I did not think of Patreon as web fiction. Silly me. It does not have Ko-fi. It does not have BookNet. This is some of them. And my own understanding of, for example, Wattpad versus Royal Road. Wattpad and Royal Road both allow fan fiction, but they tend to be more original story than fan fiction. And Wattpad is more geared to romance and maybe a younger audience with more light novel ideas as well, such as idol bands. Royal Road leans more toward lit RPG, game lit, and cultivation novels. Yep, Tapas and Web Novel do light novels. Oh, SMS Fiction. I had not heard of that one. I'm going to actually pull it up in the corner. Why do you say it's not your taste? Ah, you have to click for each new line. Yeah, there was one I remember. So part of web fiction, it does not have to be just novel writing. It can also be kind of cell phone based, where you tap for each new line that comes up, and it's a story told through the cell phone, through a smartphone, through SMS. Web novel, from what I've seen, is a little bit around each of the genres. Radish is the same thing, Scribble Hub. Vella, I tend to see a lot more paranormal and romance. And as I mentioned before, Royal Road is game lit, lit RPG, a little bit of sci-fi, and Wuja is the Chinese cultivation, Korean novels as well, and very similar to that vein. I'm also going to say, come on, don't forget Archive of Our Own, and Yes, I may have mispronounced that. I went to an online thing and said, please help me pronounce Wuja. And yeah, I am quite certain I mispronounced it. And I'm sorry for that. I'm also going to say, don't forget fanfiction.net and Archive of Our Own, because both of these actually allow for original work. There's your hosting problem. I'm honest, I do not know how big the audience for original work is on these two platforms that are very much fanfiction based, but the audience is there. So we're gonna, at this point in the process, I'm gonna ask if you have any questions, and then we're going to go explore the internet. Rachel Olive says, I was always told AO3 Terms of Service didn't allow for OG works. Well, it has been a long time since I've read the Terms of Service for AO3. There is a part in AO3 where you can put original works. Looking at my account. That's a good point. It doesn't count as transformative, which is what AO3 is for. Yeah, at this point, there is 168,000 works in original work. And Neko Prankster says, I've heard original works are okay as long as they have a similar fanish vibe. The reason I have an original work, and this goes back to where do you post and why do I have original work on Archive of Our Own, which is where I put my fanfiction? Because I was in a fanfiction exchange and somebody asked me to have original work with that trope. So my audience at that point was someone who asked me to host it in a specific place, so that's where I hosted it. Yep, I already had an audience there. I had someone specifically request. What did they request? 1 second. They requested enemies to friends to lovers, acts of kindness, confessions, and protectiveness. Around that. Would I post additional original work on AO3? To be honest, unless I have a very specific reason, such as a fanfiction exchange, no, I really wouldn't. 82 people have looked at my work. 2 people have bookmarked it. And that's not a lot of numbers, to be honest. Compared to a fanfiction which has 2,000 people looking at it. On the other hand, maybe someone will go through my entire profile and read everything I've written. I can dream. I can dream. Yeah, technically an original setting with original characters. Yeah. Any other thoughts or questions? Because this is the time to ask them. Congratulations, you have me singing on stream. Okay, looks like no. So at this point, we are going to take a quick break. Get some water, stretch. I'm going to drink a little bit more coffee here because I need a bit more caffeine. I'm also going to have some water as well. I'm honestly surprised I don't read more web fiction, but I kind of read it when I'm on the train, and then I get nauseous, so. I think the trope heavy is more, not all fan fiction, but a lot of fan fiction is very concentrated and focused on a trope. There's the trope heavy. And the reads like fan fiction is, that one's harder. I don't even have a thought for that because I've read all different types of fan fiction. And I've read all different types of writing, original, traditional published writing, that there's a gauntlet there too. It goes from great to okay and not my cup of tea. Fan fiction does as well. Personally, I'm seeing the reads like fan fiction as being more leaning heavily on the tropes. Yeah, it's very hard to explain vibes. I feel this way because of vibes. Explaining that's a bit hard. I also think maybe fanfiction writing is changing in people's opinions as well. It's just taking a while. Any other thoughts? Do you read web fiction? Do you write web fiction? Captions. Fiction. There we go. Itachi, I mostly read trashy webcomics. Hey, we like what we like. KM used to write fan fiction long ago, but these days mostly reads the webcomics. Ah, Itachi was given some light novel recommendations. Nice. Outrageous Olive, I read a lot of webfic, and I write a lot of webfic. Lore of Olympus, The Remarried Empress, Men of Harem Stagtown. Okay, that last one sounds pretty cool. I write collaborative fiction on a site dedicated to it. I guess you can call that web fiction. Yeah, I definitely would. Tashi says, poke me, I have suggestions. So if anyone needs webcomics or light novel recommendations, definitely talk to me, Tashi. Stagtown is paranormal horror. Ooh, even better. Fantasy. I read and wrote fan fiction long ago, but nowadays I barely have time to read and write novels. Fair enough. And it's interesting when I say web fiction, a lot of you have started talking about fan fiction as well, because that's definitely web fiction too. There's the SMS fiction, fan fiction, serializations, web fiction as in blog fiction, Maybe blog would be web nonfiction, depending on the topic. And we're actually going to get back to Mr. Big T's point about game writing and text writing as web fiction. Xerox, me as well. Okay, so moving on from our break, I'm going to get rid of the presentation, and we are going to go online. Think of it as Miss Frizzle has an adventure. The only question is if I can get this to kind of go with my captions. There we go. So this is one of the websites that I wanted to show, and this is ScribbleHub. So if you look at ScribbleHub, no, I do not have an account. Thank you, advertisements. You can see latest topics in the forums. You can look for ranking, find a series, random series, latest, and genre. And you can see trending. All of these very high. Okay, trending is up from 1 to 9. And then it goes most recently updated, the latest series. This is actually a pretty, well, maybe I should ask you, do you think this is a pretty good way to show people what they want to read on your site? You can ignore the ads off to the side. And if you notice that comment about you need a book cover, you need a very eye-catchy book cover, that's definitely showing up here. You don't have to have the title on it, I'm noticing, for ScribbleHub. Number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, and number 7. 5 books out of 9 don't have titles on them. Fantasy says, I like that they have recently updated because otherwise it's hard to find stuff that's not stagnant. And it helps a new writer, exactly, with the competing against other people. 1, 2... So 2 books in latest series don't have book titles, but the trending. I liked this right here. I can see the title of the book, I can see the tags it's been hit with, and I can see the chapter. Maybe I'm a bit of a pessimist, but a much higher chapter means that people are sticking with it, and the rate of completion is going to be higher. That is my own opinion, but that doesn't necessarily mean truth. I can click on the author title, the author's name. Yeah. This is a pretty good website. The fact that they have a forum is even greater because this is where you can find friends, fellow writers. Yeah, if you want to binge, you know that there's enough for it. Writing prompts, requests for artists, reader requests, and general chat. The reason I mentioned that ScribbleHub has a forum is because Wattpad doesn't. Wattpad, as I mentioned before, is very good for romance writers and more slice of life even, young adult, but there's no forum, and it's much harder to find what you're looking for when no one can recommend books to you. Wattpad is one of those places where if you have an outside audience on Twitter, on Instagram, Facebook, your webpage, it would be good to bring your outside audience in. But it's a lot harder to create your inside audience on Wattpad. So, Chrysalia asks, what are some sites that you recommend for web publishing? And that's going to very much depend on what you want to publish. So ScribbleHub is good for original fiction. We see a bunch of them. There's adventure, fantasy, sci-fi, girls love historical isekai. And isekai means going to another land. Alice in Wonderland was isekai if you want to look at it. Mystery, drama. So, there's also, and this is where Mr. Big T's game talk comes into it, choice of games web fiction. Although, maybe more accurately would be app fiction. They have many different games that you can download. Steam, Apple Store, Google Play Store, Amazon. You can also play online. Social Services of the Doomed, Nikola Tesla, War of the Currents. That's got to be kind of cool. Vampire the Masquerade. Ponparan, the Unconquerable Scorpion. Witchcraft U. This is mostly going into a lot of paranormal. A lot of superhero, pirates. We have another vampire Out for Blood. Battle Mage. Adventure of the Sea Dogs. And this type, we talked earlier about pay and be paid. Choice of games is the type of person that they will pay the writer for the game. So, okay, they've changed their... Usually in the About Us section, I remember them having a, we are looking for writers for our projects. It looks like they are completely full. So some of the games are available free on the web. Other games are mobile devices that you can read through the app. There's also a forum here. And the forum is amazing here because you have to talk with other people about how to use the choice system that they have here. Now I say the choice system because this is a multiple pathway for you to make your choice and decide which way you want the book to go. For example, one of their books that I did read and buy was Flight of Dragons. I think that's the title. And that was talking about how to survive as a dragon. One of the questions was what direction I want to go, north, south, east, west. Another question was a much larger dragon is coming towards you. Do you attempt to talk to them? Do you attempt to fight? Do you fly away? Etc., etc. And depending on your choice, you move on and see what happens. Yes, but I cannot use the initials CYOA. Speaking of copyright, copyright is as good as the company protecting their copyright, and that company is much like Disney. Very, very protective over the original 4 words that many of these books were known by. So that goes down to choice of games. There is a more adult-oriented Hearts choice as well. And so choice of games does have genre. Do you want choice of Hearts? Do you want choice of like sci-fi, paranormal, etc., etc.? So, I'm going to go over to Kindle Vella. And I don't think Kindle Vella is going anywhere soon. It seems to be sticking around for a bit. I will say that Kindle Vella is not doing the most they can do with advertising. There are a lot of people, a lot of readers I know who actually don't know what Vella does. But you can see here, I have previously viewed a couple of things. An interesting thing here, I can see if the book is completed. So Blackstone by K.S. Bischoff was completed. 12 people gave it a thumbs up. But The Traveler's Inn, written by Travis Sivart, our very own Travis Tavern on Twitch, has 85 thumbs up and is 58 pages long. So as a reader, the cover gets my attention, and to be honest, I love the circular covers actually more than a traditional rectangular cover. I don't know why, I just like the little thumbprint of a book. Kindle will tell you the top favorites, and this is interesting, they do it for month. So this is the top favorites for June. First, second, third. And very much like Scribble Hub, there's no title on the book cover, which I thought was kind of cool. There are tags: billionaire, possessive, arranged marriage. Now, I know Kindle Vella does have different genres. The top favorites, we have marriage, vampire romance, Regency romance, billionaire romance, and fantasy romance. There might be a genre bias. So Elven Heartbound is a trending story, Seduction series is trending, and Covert Hearts is trending. All three of those are romance. But, and here's where you get a list of completed series. If you want to binge, Vella will show you what to binge. And this one goes through and at least tells you different types. So romance, sci-fi fantasy, paranormal, action, paranormal, romance, mystery, and it continues onwards. Again, your book cover should show what genre that you are writing. I will be honest, Birchwood may be interesting, but I'm not sure anything about that cover. The dystopian with Bunker Man, that looks interesting to me. It's definitely post-apocalyptic. That's more of an author's thought of, even if you're writing web fiction, you should try to pick a book cover that shows what you're writing. The good thing about having a company like Amazon is that they do have a featured in the section, which is different from, if you see, the top favorites and the trending. Recently added stories, along with page numbers. Regularly updated stories. You want something that's consistent? Kindle will give it to you. And now it says introducing Kindle Vella. My only problem with Kindle is that for a big company as Amazon is, they do not do enough advertising. And I've heard a lot of writers say it's very hard to bring the audience to Amazon. But if you have other books on Amazon, such as KU books or ebooks or other books, hardcovers, paperback that you sell, you can get your audience connected to your Vella. The good part about Vella too is that you will be paid. And at the bottom of the day, end of the day, we want the money to get the stuff we want, right? I do not have anything on Vella at the moment. Because I live in Japan, even though I have an American account, Kindle just went, nope, you need to wait. And I'm like, thanks. Not really. Really, not really. Okay. We're going to go to Wuxia World. And this is where we get deeper into genre. You can find Chinese books, Korean books. None of the other places I've been to have mentioned other languages, although maybe Scribble Hub. You could search by language, I'm not sure. Here you can search by status and sort by chapters, ratings, popularity, newness, and name. Most of these books are going to be light novel based and or Korean and Chinese popular genres. Cultivation, reincarnation. Those are going to be what you find here. Against the Gods, Ancient Strengthening Technique, Battle Through the Heavens. I liked this one. Become a Star. What if you woke up one morning and remembered all 999 of your past lives? And Hitachi says, these stories have been hit or miss for him. If the male lead is a jerk, I book. Yep. I can definitely agree with that. Cultivation novels, by the way, are where you gather power to move on to the next level, gather more power, move on to the next level, and gather more power. Gourmet gaming. There's also isekai in here as well. How to Live as a Vampire Lord, I Am Overlord. So a little bit of game lit, a little bit of lit RPG. I don't know about grammar on this website because if someone is writing in and using English as a foreign language, the grammar might not be the best. If someone is translating something, again, the grammar might not be the best. But honestly, you don't know someone's grammar until you read their book, until you read their writing. And if you see them making mistakes on social media, you still don't know how the grammar in their book is going to be. One more place, and then we're going to move on to Royal Road, where I can actually look at some stats and show you some numbers. This is Radish. Radish also pays you. Anytime, anywhere, bite-sized fiction, which is pretty good. So this is an app for the App Store or Google Play. You probably have seen a lot of advertisement from Radish through Facebook, if you're still on Facebook. That's, in most cases, if you publish something... Okay, sorry. So Chrysalia's question is, out of curiosity, if I want to publish a book as paperback, but I already published them as web fiction, does that mean the story is strictly for the web, or I can still release it as a paperback? And that's where I'm going to say, if you're looking for traditional, you're out of luck. If you want to, use Lulu or Ingram Spark and publish it yourself, go for it. I've definitely seen people do that. So here, start reading. I honestly don't like this page because I cannot find stories to read. So, okay, last but not least, it is an important income, I agree, Tashi. And Zurich says, if your web fiction has a following and your fans want a print copy, yeah, agreed. So I'm going to take off all these pages, and I'm going to talk about Royal Road. The reason we're going to talk about this is because I actually publish on Royal Road. This goes back to Chrysalia's comment, what are some sites that you publish on? What are some sites that are good for web publishing? My stories tend to be adventure, fantasy, maybe some sci-fi, lit RPG, and game lit. So Royal Road is a much better choice for me than Wattpad. As mentioned, Wattpad is more romantic, slice of life. I do not do cultivation novels. I do not do training with white light. I think that was one of the other stories on Wuge. So I would not publish there. And I couldn't publish to Vella, so that choice was taken from me. But if you have consistency, Vella is a good place as well. So Royal Road, and when I mention consistency, we're going to talk about the 2 web fictions I have, and I'm going to show you some numbers. So I have 2. I have Our Mutual Runes and Cloudlark. Our Mutual Runes is a very adult, a bit gory, post-apocalyptic video game that the main character becomes stuck in. And Cloudlark is a coming-of-age novel with sky pirates and magic and very game-lit because there is a gaming part to the world that she lives in. Now, my problem, I have not gotten to it yet, and it's about 25 chapters in. So we're going to go to the dashboard for both of these. And we're going to go to, we'll go to Our Mutual Runes first. So I have a very good look at my analytics on my dashboard as well. I can see a ranking on the website. I can see there's 61 followers of this story. I apologize to all 61 of you. 15 people have favorited it. And my average rating is a 4.24 out of 5. Down here, I can see total views. I can see average views. I can see page numbers, approximately 275 words per page, calculated with the number of words I've given. And I can see comments. And that's something interesting I like about Royal Road is I do get comments. Not just reviews from people who read it. It's very much a combination of Amazon's 5-star review, or any rating 5-star review, and fan fiction, where you get comments from your readers. So I have my summary, blah, blah, blah. Last chapters, I've had really no comments on the last chapters, but I've had some views. Not as much as chapter 16, so maybe I did something with chapter 17. That's why analytics is something good. You can see if your audience didn't kind of swing around the corner with you on that. So you can see your stats. Maybe. Yes, there you go. And here's what I wanted to say about consistency. Do you see the green lines? I mean, I hope they show up on the site. So each of these green lines is when I updated. Each of these green lines is a chapter. Or, sorry, rating. Oh my gosh. I need to get more coffee. Each of these green lines is a rating. You can see it go up, you can see it go down, and you can see this giant flat spot where I have not been rated in a while. Royal Road also gives you retention analytics as well. How many people got to your chapter, how many people were members of Royal Road, how many views you got. It tells me maybe if it was more than the previous chapter, But again, something happened at chapter 16 where I went from 400 people down to 169. that could have been where I stopped writing it. That could have been where I did something different. But absolutely fantasy, and get some sleep. We shall see you in the future. I'm trying to find my stats. It's been a while. Where I don't need the user retention. I'm looking for the general. There we go. So here's per chapter. Oh, a couple of people in the last 7 days have come by. Not that many. Couple from Royal Road. Couple from the interwebs. Where is... It's not followers. It is... There we go. Chapter of page views. And... I don't want the stats ratings. I want my general. Thank you. Yeah. So, my point about the general analytics is you need to be consistent. No matter what you're writing, no matter where you're posting it, you have to be consistent. If you're not consistent, then the longer you leave things, the more it's going to drop. So you can see I go up, and then I drop because I've not updated this. This was left off on... There's no schedule or release. I finished on chapter 21. Last on November 6th. If that was October, or if that was August 18th. And you have to... This is why I say successfully. I am not successful at Webfiction. I know where to post. I know the story I want to write. And I can kind of get an audience to look at it. But if you're not consistent, no one's going to read it. Or they're going to read it and they're going to kind of forget about it and they're not going to come back. If there is anything you learn from this panel, please be consistent with your writing. And here's where I can see words and views and last comments and all the fun things. Now I'm kind of curious what I did in that one, but same thing happens to Cloudlark. I can see followers, favorites, average rating, rank. My average rating went up on that, I think. The reason I say is because I had someone 1-star a couple of things. So. But again, if I am not updating, there's no green lines here, then it just goes flat. Make a note on your calendar. Absolutely. In the case of Royal Road, you can have scheduled releases. So when you're done, put it in and say release whatever time you want. I do not remember if Wattpad does that for you. But as Ginger will tell me, you have to be consistent. Like, absolutely. And that makes sense because the original serializations were once a week. And so these, if you have once a week, you'll be okay. But if you do it more often, you will be better served by your writing. Latest updates, rising stars. Royal Road does the same thing. The interesting thing is, If you look at A Marine Got Lost in Another World, they have 1 chapter update. If you look at Apocalypse mit Raj, apparently in German, which is pretty cool, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chapters have been uploaded in the past 24 hours. Same thing with What the Green Bird Sees. 3 chapters have been uploaded in the past time period. What's your recommended schedule for web releases to be consistent, but also not draining? Ooh. I just got glared at by Ginger by that, for the way.
There was no glare. I'm just interested to hear your answer, because it'll be news to me.
Ginger says, I'd like to hear your answer too, Coffee. It'll be news to me. So, honestly, this is going to depend a lot on you and what you already do on a day-to-day basis. If you can, 1 week. That should be enough for writing, for editing, and then for uploading. If you can take time and gather your book chapters before you start uploading, so you have, 25 chapters first, and then you can follow up with chapters, that gives you what's called a buffer. I do know there are some people who write web fiction, and I don't quite get this myself, but I understand they do it. Somebody will write the entire book, and at that point, for me, that would be edit it and maybe query it to traditional writers or upload it on Amazon. But the person I know writes the entire book, uploads it on Royal Road, actually, for example, and makes it upload every day, every 2 days. And when I asked them about that, they explained that, 1, they're building their audience, which is true. If they update it constantly, they're going to make the latest updates. If you make latest updates and get people reading it, you may make rising stars, which is kind of like the most popular trending at the moment. When I asked why they still put it here, the comments they get from the people reading it let them fix any major problems they have before putting it on Amazon. And there you go. They put it here because it helps them. When they finish it, after a certain amount of time, they remove it from the website and they put it into Amazon, sometimes into the KU store, sometimes just as a book to buy. But again, they chose every day for theirs because they already had the chapters. Every 2 days is hard. The question is, why do you want to upload? What will you get out of uploading web fiction? And what do you want your writing schedule to be? For me, I started doing web fiction to test, can I be consistent? Would you like to know the answer? No. I am not good at being consistent. This means I am really not good at writing web fiction. Any thoughts? Any questions? Any concerns about writing web fiction? Nathalia says, me neither, Coffee. That's why I quit that. I mean, I like the idea of web fiction. I know I can write a chapter a week. My personal problem is I get sidetracked by other shiny ideas, and then it becomes too late to upload something. And I feel I do not upload the best chapter. Oh, also, speaking about fees, I actually do pay a fee because I want to get those statistics from Royal Road. It's not much, and I'm okay paying it. So you can get basic statistics from Royal Road. If you want the very detailed breakdown, you support with premium. And I'm okay with that. Yeah. Interesting thing is, I found out that one of my books is 26 chapters. And I do not see an end in sight. That's going to take a lot of writing. The other one, though, is 21 chapters, and I can definitely see the end of the first book coming. So I might take them both down. I'm not sure. I need to figure out, because the original question of, can I be consistent, was definitely answered. Questions about Webfiction? So, from your experience in using Royal Road, is the interface easy to navigate? Yes, absolutely. I've used Wattpad, AO3, and Royal Road for uploading Webfiction. Royal Road has a good interface, easy to understand. Wattpad I had a little bit of a problem with. And AO3 was easy enough once I figured out that I'm not using HTML and I'm using rich text. If you can barely keep up a bi-weekly schedule for fanfictions, yeah, Webfiction is not for you. I'm sorry. Yeah, nope. And I hate saying that, because I really want to be you can do it if you want to. But if you don't have timing, this is only going to add stress for you. Night Shadow, have a good one. Any other thoughts? Any other questions? I do like that Royal Road, and there's another reason I go for Royal Road. Wattpad has its contests. Royal Road has write-a-thons, which is like 55,000 words in 5 weeks. And there are, if I look at my profile, I can find achievements. I'm a sucker for achievements. So I have an artist achievement because I made a book cover for someone else, more than one. I have a random achievement for something random. You can get achievements for leaving comments, You can get achievements for reviewing other people's work. You can get achievements for having so many followers, etc., etc. I do like there's also reputation, which is more, did you talk to people in the place? Did you make some friends? Did you talk in the forum? Sometimes achievements can be quite motivating. I agree. So I'm kind of lucky that what I want to write would gravitate to Royal Road instead of Wattpad, for example, because I do like numbers go higher, apparently. Achievements and numbers. May 8th, 2022. I know I haven't given things. Page not found. They may have taken that down. So yeah. Sometimes there's trends in web fiction. Is it a good idea to sometimes jump into that trend or not? I say yes. Why? Because that's how you learn. For a perfect example, I normally write fantasy, and that's what I was coming to Royal Road to do. I looked around Royal Road and saw that there's a very big trend in lit RPG and game lit, which are new genres to me. And being able to do that and test out my ideas and learn about the new trend is actually really cool, because I will have people say in the comments, this was a good idea, or no, character, don't do that. Or, because people are people, sometimes the comment will be like, ugh, why did you do that? The one negative thing I would say about Royal Road is that you need to have a thicker skin. So, fan fiction, sometimes you get good reviews, sometimes you don't. Royal Road, same thing. Sometimes you get good comments, sometimes you don't. There's one of mine that got a lovely comment. I don't even know what chapter that was on. But the person really did not like how I was writing it, and pretty much said just to dump it and rewrite it again. Scriptophilia has a similar reward system for responding to people's work. Nice. Did I answer your question, Van Whitman? So now I have to think if I want to take these down, restart them and try again, maybe once a week, or build a buffer, or honestly take them down, write them, and figure out something else to do with them. Awesome. It is about time for us to be heading back to the main hub. If anyone does have any other questions about web fiction, let me know and I'll be happy to answer them. So let's see. I do not actually have the Twitch main one up, so I need to go there. And I do not trust my spelling, which means I do have to have the Twitch in the background, and I have to copy paste when I raid. The confidence in my spelling is not that high. Because I just misspelled raid. It's a 4-letter word. There you go. Thank you very much for coming to this panel. This was one panel out of a lot that Writers Conduit is putting on. There are more more coming up, such as retellings, better beta reading, fantasy paranormal writing, self-inserts aren't the enemy, no really, social media presence and interaction, etc. We shall see you in the future. Have a great time zone. Get some food, water, sleep, rest, meds if you need them. I will see you in the future, and I will also see you if you come to the punk writing, parsing all the punks. Cheers!